This young lady is one of my favorite people on earth. I've known Michelle, I don't even know at this point. What's really funny about online is it feels like 10 years, but I think maybe it's only been a couple years. I don't really know. But Michelle and I go way back. And the thing I love about Michelle is honestly the thing that the thing that I love about Michelle is how much she actually cares about people. One of the biggest issues that we had, like that I had with Michelle, was how much she cared about the people that she was helping. Like I kept having to say, Michelle, just we got to get people in. Let's do this. She's like, no, I really. But Michelle is a mental health advocate. She works with corporate teams, like she mentioned before, and helping them actually build some resilience. The thing I also love about Michelle is that her and I have the same sensei, the same yogi. For those that have been around before, Shane, he came and spoke. Michelle and I also work with Shane. And so she brings this amazing mental health approach while still taking responsibility. And if I could say, that's what I love about what Michelle talks about. It's about taking responsibility for yourself while simultaneously paying attention to your mental health. And so I think Michelle arguably is the best corporate trainer for resilience out there. And today she's going to be talking to us all about how we can build resilience as entrepreneurs. So with that being said, please put your hands together for my great friend, Michelle. Welcome to Elevated, Michelle.
So excited to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you for that session. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Ray, because I needed that more than you know. So thank you. Ray, how much time do I have? I want to be responsible with what time you have left.
20-minute lecture, 10-minute talk. Go for it. I mean, the only thing behind you is a 10-minute potty break and then hot seat coaching. So it's all yours.
Okay, great. Perfect. Awesome. All right. So I am thrilled to be here. As Ray said, I'm going to share with you a few of the elements from my full resilience roadmap and the work that I do in my workshops with corporate and also my one-on-one coaching practice. And I think it's important for you to know that I actually practice what I preach. Like, you need to know that there was a time when maybe I didn't, and I felt like I had zero integrity in teaching people how to do this if I wasn't living it. But I actually live these practices. So that's really important for you to know. Then after I share with you some of these strategies from my full program, you'll have a chance to actually perform your own resilient self-audit. You're really going to take a hard look at sort of what you're doing every day, your practices, your morning routines, and you're going to identify those areas of most opportunity that you want to work on and improve. Because remember, it's those small micro changes that can really yield you like massive results. So it's not like you're going to have to boil the ocean here. You're going to really zone in on what you can change. But fundamentally, we listen to Gary Vaynerchuk. He's all about grinding it out, right? Grinding it out. And grinding it out is really not sustainable, right? I love him. I adore his messages. But honestly, I want to invite you as an entrepreneur to think about shifting from the grinding mentality to the flowing mentality, because we actually have the ability to create flow and feel good while we're doing it. We don't have to kind of burn the candle at both ends. So that's why our daily practices and our morning routines are super important. Now, if you were to look at some of the most successful leaders in the world, they pretty much have structures and morning routines that put them in the cockpit of their day every day. So they're taking care of themselves before they start into their business, into their job, into the whatever they're up to. And the key here is it doesn't have to take a lot of time. It can be as little as 30 minutes. I'm going to talk also the importance of meditation, because when we pause from all the noise and from all the doing, because we typically as entrepreneurs, we're doers, we got to find the next thing to do. When we can take a pause and step back, we have this opportunity, this gift to connect with our higher self, with that internal voice that wants to guide you. But oftentimes we have so much noise and things going on that we're not tuned into that. So for me personally, when I make that a priority, which I do every morning, that's when I gain the most clarity and I have amazing creativity. Like, things show up for me in meditation, outside of meditation, because I'm giving myself the opportunity to take the pause. And it's funny, Ray just mentioned Shane. So I just actually did Shane's retreat. And the one thing that I learned in that retreat, one of many things I learned, was about the power of energy. and how our energy, who we're being every day, either can attract or deflect experiences, clients, people in our lives. Listen, I was a grinder, I was a doer. I thought if I just put in more hours, did more work, that I was going to see results. But the one thing that I realized that has been pivotal for me since that retreat is a massive shift in my energy. And I want to attribute that mostly to my daily and my morning practices. I kid you not. And so that's why, to me, these practices are so important. So let's dive right in.
Also, that's a great piece of content, by the way, for you, Michelle. Don't stop grinding, start flowing. Ooh.
Flow, man, flow. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, great. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. So we're going to talk a little bit about some resilience strategies that we can apply, but I want to sort of let you know who I am and why I care, because I think that's important for you to know. Who's this woman before me talking to me about resilience? What does she know about resilience? I have quite a few things that I have overcome, like many of us, but I want to share with you a little bit about my backstory. So I spent 19 years in the pharmaceutical industry, minding my own business, just working, and was pretty successful, starting my career as a secretary and worked my way up to a director at Johnson & Johnson. Somewhere along the way, a colleague of mine found out about my experience growing up with my mom. And this is a picture of my mom here. My mom had bipolar disorder, and I spent my young adult years, my childhood, my adolescent years caring for her, loving her, caring for her. And at times it was a lot like riding a roller coaster. If you know anything about bipolar disorder, there are rapid highs and really dark, depressing lows. So that experience shaped me, taught me compassion for those who suffer from mental illness, and shaped me into the woman that I became today. So my colleague found out about that story, nominated me, and there I stood in front of all of my peers, giving a TED talk about that experience. And for the very first time, really opening up my mouth to the story for the first time. And the reaction that I got was so amazing that I went on to write my memoir, Breaking Into My Life. And the whole idea of openly talking about mental health really started to take root and had me realize this was an area that I wanted to make a greater impact in. So I left my corporate job, started my company, Trifecta Mental Health, with a vision of really cultivating compassion in the workplace, building resilience, helping people understand that there are things that they can do to take care of themselves. Along the way, I went through a divorce and I was diagnosed with depression myself. So I not only know what it's like to care for someone with a mental illness, but I also know how hard it is to do life with a diagnosis of depression. And I learned a lot about how to take care of myself and how to preserve my mental health, which is why I do the work I do today. So that's just a little bit about me, so you understand why I care and why I truly want there to be more understanding and have people more empowered around their health. Because we have a say in how we feel. We relate to mental illness often as mentally ill or mentally well, but in reality, we all glide across a continuum of wellness. And so my first tip to you today is all around self-awareness. If we are to preserve our mental health, we can't step over how we're doing. We can't ignore it. So self-awareness is really pivotal if we want to preserve our mental health. So in this moment, I'm going to ask you, just reflecting to yourself today, ask yourself how you're feeling. And if you can get into a practice of this every day, really reflecting on how you're feeling, then you can take care of yourself proactively and not wait to a point where you hit a part where you're feeling very unmotivated, depressed, you have despair. The whole idea is if you are maybe gliding between the green or the blue heart here, that you reach into your toolbox and you do something to help yourself move back up to the yellow or the orange heart. But if we ignore how we're doing emotionally, we let it go, and then it gets worse. So just like we would with our physical body, I invite you to consider checking in with yourself every day. And fundamentally, I want to share that it's okay to not be okay, right? Now, especially coming out of a pandemic, a lot of people are experiencing things that they never experienced before. So, my message is always going to be it's okay to not be okay. The most important thing that we can do is acknowledge how we're doing, address it, and then move forward. And it's important to also realize that fear, you can't be hopeful and fearful at the same time. But you have to remember, if you're feeling fear, if you're feeling anxious, you have to think about what you're feeding your mind. The mind is fundamentally wired to protect you. It's constantly looking and scanning for threats and things that could harm you, pulling up past experiences, and it's not wired to really protect your joy. So you have to be very vigilant about what you're allowing your mind to consume. And so, my first thing to ask you to reflect on is how much news you watch. How much news are you allowing be on in the background, or how much news are you watching at night or in the morning or whatever? And is that fueling any type of fear or anxiety? And then, how much social media do you consume? I know we have to be present on social media, but can you start to limit that? Because that can actually contribute to not feeling so great. So only we can protect our peace. And one of the ways to do that is to monitor what we're allowing our mind to consume. We have the ability to turn off the faucet of information that can cause fear or anxiety. Only we can do that. We have the ability to turn it off and protect our peace. Remember that where our focus goes is where energy is going to flow. So if you're allowing your mind to go anywhere, if you're at the effects of what you're hearing or whatever, that's where your energy is going to flow. So you really want to make sure that you're protecting where your focus goes. So one of the ways, and what I call my superpower, is an attitude of gratitude and practicing gratitude every day. Like I said, the mind is wired to protect you. But if you adopt a daily gratitude practice into your routine, you're going to start to rewire your mind to, throughout the day, look for the good. Organically, we're not necessarily wired to look for the good because we're constantly making sure that we're okay. But if you can start to adopt three things you're grateful for every single morning, then throughout the day, your mind is going to start to look for other things that you're grateful for. So consider that you can't be fearful and angry and be grateful simultaneously. So one of the ways that I do this is through the 5-minute e-journal. I have it on my phone, and every morning before I meditate, I track 3 things I'm grateful for that particular day. Honestly, it has been a game changer for me. You upload a photo, you think about 3 things you're grateful for, and before you even start your day, your glass is half full. It's already, you're present to the abundance. It's so easy to look for what's wrong and what's missing, especially, we have aspirations as entrepreneurs. We see the mountain we want to climb, but we don't ever stop and look behind us to see how far we've come. So when you pause and you remember what you're grateful for and what you've accomplished, it really can make all the difference in how your day flows. And then there's always the data around gratitude and how it affects us. It improves our ability to be optimistic. It buffers people from stress and depression. It can impact our sleep quality and our energy, reduce heart stress, enhance our peace of mind, and reduce rumination of negative and has a negative effect on depressive symptoms. So it's the rumination where we get in trouble, when we are grabbing onto a negative thought and we're going into the vortex. You want to make sure that you're thinking about the things that are good in your life. And if you want to ruminate on those. So just consider gratitude as a practice. When you view your world with an attitude of gratitude, you're training your brain to focus on the good in life. What we focus on will expand. And so I'm going to tell you the hard truth here. Nobody's coming for you to protect yourself from yourself. Okay? Only you can protect your well-being. Only you. And that's through boundaries and structures and daily practices. Because what's really at stake is your health, is your well-being, is the partner or the child that's looking up to you. If you don't take care of yourself, you're putting yourself at risk from a health perspective. So I'm here to give you a little sobering thought that if it is to be, it's up to me. So you have to really make sure that you make this a priority so you can stick around. So let's talk about morning routines and creating balance. Establishing a non-negotiable morning routine just for you can be the game changer. Starting your day off feeling grounded and refreshed can be the best gift you give to yourself. So consider getting up 30 to 60 minutes earlier, doing some movement for your body, some type of movement. We all know movement, it helps, with the endorphin high that we get from that. Journaling, capturing the things that you're grateful for, and then a short meditation. Really important things that don't have to take a lot of time, but can really have you starting off in a much more empowered state, ready to deal with what you're up to every day. And the thing too to remember is we get to mitigate stress through our daily routine. Stress is a fact of life, right? We're always going to have this thing called stress showing up in our life, but it's how we handle it. How do we mitigate it? What are we doing so that we're not, reaching our boiling point every day? We get to show up the best version of ourselves for our clients, for our family. If we're a stressed out mess, you're not going to be the best version of yourself. You're not going to be able to interact with people the way that you can. So we have to tend to the garden of our mind every single day. And that's where meditation comes in. Meditation is one of those things that can help us mitigate stress. I love this image because this is how I visualize what meditation is doing for me. We have thousands of thoughts every single day. There's a lot of noise that we accumulate in our mind, thoughts, worries, things that we got to remember to do. When we meditate, it is like wringing out that wet washcloth of all of those unnecessary thoughts that just get jumbled up in our head. So that's what meditation actually does. The power of meditation, I could give you data all day long about this, but it's been proven to show you can improve your concentration. You become less bothered by the little things, improves your overall health. There's been TM studies about heart and meditation and the correlation between that. And obviously, it's going to improve your knowledge of yourself. And how is that anything that we wouldn't want for ourselves? So we have to remember to protect our mind and not leave it up to chance. I love this image because if we don't take control of it, we are at the effects of life. We are at the effects of stress. So don't leave it up to chance. Really take that on. And then one other tip I want to mention is around sleep hygiene. Sleep is one of the most critical things that we can do for ourselves when it comes to, feeling good and empowered in our day-to-day and feeling healthy. If we don't have sleep, we all know what that feels like, right? We're cranky, we're irritable, we're not firing at all cylinders. We can't get done what we want to. We're very ambitious people. So some tips to think about when it comes to sleep hygiene is you want to stick to a routine. You want to have that wind down time. You want to optimize your bedroom for sleep. You want to keep your work separate from your sleep space. You want to make sure you're getting your heart rate up every day. I mean, I know myself, when I have a great workout, I sleep like a baby. So just remember that. And then turning off the electronics, not eating a large meal before bed, limiting caffeine and alcohol, leveraging things like lavender, things that will help you sleep. And then even for people who have a hard time like really adopting meditation practices, I'm always recommending try a nighttime meditation where you literally just lay down and listen to the person guide you through maybe a sensation meditation, but it can actually really help you relax. And then have your own proactive well-being strategies in your pocket. I shared with you the image earlier of how are you feeling when you get present to how you're doing. Have those things in your pocket that when you check in the morning with yourself and you say, you know what, I really could be better. I probably need to make sure that I do something for myself so that I don't feel worse. So here are some suggestions that you can do, but you have to know what is your go-to so that you can like get yourself back to the set point that you know you can be. It might be calling and talking to someone. It might be getting out into the sun and getting out into nature and hiking. It could be simply moving your body. surrounding yourself with your friends if you just need that connection, because that connection can feed us. And then, you know, watching something to escape, maybe a movie or reading or something. Always remember, no matter what is going on, we are always stronger than our circumstance. And you have the ability to overcome whatever is tossed at you. So in summary, just to kind of recap before we go into our resilience audit, make it a habit to get present to how you're doing every day, just like you would with your physical body, right? If you overwork something at the gym, you would give it a little extra love. So get present to how you're really feeling every day. Limit your news and your social media consumption if you can. Adopt an attitude of gratitude. Try to retrain your mind to start looking for those positive things, but you have to do that in the morning to set yourself up for success. Adopt a non-negotiable morning routine. So you take care of you before you take care of the rest of the world. Meditation to mitigate stress, moving your body, being hydrated, reflecting on your diet, very important. Don't neglect your sleep. Make sure that you're having good sleep hygiene so that you get good quality sleep, and have your go-to strategies when you're feeling a little bit off, because that's going to help you. And that is what I have to share with you. So going into the audit, right?
Yep. And by the way, the audit, if you didn't see it, Kayla posted it in the Slack and the workshop trainings channel. It's the PDF in there, but yeah.
So I was thinking what we would do, take a few minutes for yourself. There are 21 questions here that are in the handout, same questions. Take a second to answer those questions to yourself, because that's going to give you the areas of opportunity that you can tweak just for this week. So you'll see on the handout, let me just go to that. Okay, so we want you to answer these questions as honestly as possible. Then you're going to go back and reflect on those areas that you can focus on just this week. You're going to ask yourself, how can you set yourself up to succeed with that particular area? And what can you do to make it so easy to say to yourself, how could I not do this every day? And understand and ask yourself, what are the anticipated barriers that could prevent you from taking this action, and how can you eliminate them?
Oh, I was talking to you guys the whole time and I was muted. Well, I'm just pulling up the actual PDF right now. But yeah, in the like I said before, it's in Slack, but just for ease, I'll put it in here and we'll take a minute and we'll walk through it. Cool. Echo, play lo-fi hip hop. So now I know that we wanted to kind of take a minute and just kind of cycle through some of these questions and key insights. And Michelle, first and foremost, I think having more of these kind of conversations are important, especially when listen, I think I was just, we have one of our clients is a burnout coach, and her and I were going back and forth, and because I made a comment about how I can't stand Brene Brown. And I said, well, here's the thing though, right? For every person like you, Michelle, or like, her name's Catherine, burnout coach like that, then you have people like me on the other side. And it's important to have this yin and yang. And so despite the fact that I'm usually one of those people that are like, fuck your breast, like it's important to have people like you, because I think if everyone did what I did, everyone would burn out. I did though see a lot of like insights actually from this audit, and I can see why, even if you did this, like made this a practice, maybe a weekly check-in. How often would you recommend going through this audit? First of all,
at least once a month.
I was going to say, if doing this helped me realize something super key that I have forgotten about. And one of my key insights, and again, I'm curious to know from the rest of you guys too on this as well. The first insight that I was like, holy shit, was actually meditating. So I've never been able to meditate. My version of meditating is active meditating, which I think you and I have talked about before, which is my version of meditating is jiu-jitsu, because I'm not thinking about anything except for what I'm doing in that moment. The second version of my meditating is actually shooting my bow. So I don't go hunting, but like I do archery. I, just shoot the target. And what's cool about shooting a bow is that I could see when I would first start shooting, I'd have my arrows all over the place. And then over time, as the session went on, they would get closer and closer, a better grouping. So what I love about that is it's an active thing you can see of meditating, because the more I get zeroed in, the less I'm thinking about anything but that activity, if that makes sense, which is meditation. Anyway, my point is of saying all that is I haven't been to jiu-jitsu in fucking forever. Like I was like thinking about it, I was like, I haven't been to jiu-jitsu. Like one of those eye-opening moments was I had a thing come up and was like a year ago I did a tournament. It was a year ago. I was like, that was a year ago? And it's really easy, I think, especially in entrepreneurship. I do this thing where, I think it's good to delay gratification, but same time, I might do it a little bit too much because I said, I'm going to go back to jiu-jitsu when I hit this goal. And by the way, it was a very big, audacious goal. And so, but what happened was now it's been 8 months. And by the way, I hit the goal and I still haven't been, the goalpost just moved. I go, now I'm going to go back when I hit this. And so anyway, that's number one, the first insight. The other insight, once again, that I was like super fascinated by is that I don't know how many hours a week I work. I literally have no clue. Yeah. I just work. It's probably a lot, but I don't know. I don't look at work in that way anymore because it's a part of, and I think you can get this, for sure, because a lot of it's part of my purpose. Like this is me. Same time though, like literally you can ask Kayla. I mean, look, I built a whole ass workshop on a Saturday morning. Like, so if that doesn't tell you that I like work, I don't know. So I don't know. Yeah, so maybe you can talk about that. The difference between.
So yeah, that's flow. What you said about the archery, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, that's not really meditation, Raylan. What it really is you're in flow. And that's like the value of having hobbies or extracurricular activities, because you cannot think of all your worries, your stresses, your business if you're focusing on something so acutely. So I always recommend that like people do find those things that they can be in flow with, because it disconnects. And that disconnect is what's going to fuel you and give you more balance back in your life.
So what you're saying is I'm full of shit. Oh, I lied then. I do meditate. The only time I've ever been able to meditate is actually in the cold plunge. After I do the Wim Hof breath.
Yeah.
And then I do breath holds. Then that moment I'm meditating. That's the only time. Yes. But I also don't do that enough.
Well, Michelle, can I ask you a quick question about that?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Connor. Hey, it's so nice to meet you, by the way.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say we shared a few DMs a little while ago, didn't we? Yeah, no problem. So Raylan, I want to second that. So like I used to meditate quite heavily, but then I found when I was playing my hobby and I almost became in what was known, I looked it up, it's what's called flow state. That had the same effect. So I dropped that in favor of flow state, and I actually found that worked a lot better. So my focus was much sharper, noticeably, for a few more days as well. So even though I was only playing the hobby once a week, it still had the same sort of effect. So I found that definitely has the same effect as meditation.
Yes, flow is great. Flow is amazing.
Awesome. I love flow states, but you feel like you're much more skilled at your hobby as well.
And here's the thing with flow, you emerge from it and you have like this burst of energy. Like I know for me, when I'm in flow and I come out, I'm like, all right, what are we doing? Like I could go run, 5 miles because I've just been charged in some way by being in flow.
Absolutely.
Again, my thing is I think I need to do a better job. I'm looking at Kayla because she's in charge of my calendar. I need to do a better job of sticking, like doing my hobbies. Like I need to go back to jiu-jitsu and or at least shoot my damn bow. One of the two.
When they move, it'll be easier.
Yeah, we'll be right by the gym.
And and we have it that it has to be either or, right? Like, so I just want to invite you to consider you can do that and still achieve your goals. It's not like, well, I guess this goes out the window because now I'm going to do my hobby. No, like you can create space to be able to do both and have it all work. It's not either or. We come so often from, I got to sacrifice if I'm going to add this in. No, not necessarily. You just got to figure a way to do it.
And also get rid of shit that is probably not serving you anyway, right? What else? Anybody else have some interesting insights from going through this audit? By the way, make sure you guys, I'm telling you, you know, Grant, I know they're in Slack. I would really highly recommend these tools that these speakers kind of bring to us to save these. I think there is a folder somewhere that we have of these things, but this is something, honestly, put it, or better yet, do this. Maybe like as we're talking, do this right now. Download the PDF from the worksheet, from the workshop thing. Go to your calendar once a month, put in, what do we call this? Resilience audit.
Audit.
A month, make it reoccurring, and then put this file in there. Now it's part of your practice. You don't have to do nothing. That's the only way, by the way, I do anything.
The whole idea of this exercise is to get you present to some things that maybe you just don't look at every day. And if you look at them and you see an imbalance in one of those areas, you could say, all right, I'm going to make a conscious effort that if I tweaked this week and try it on, maybe I'm going to have more energy, or I'm going to feel better. So that it's all in the spirit of self-awareness, so that we can actually create those small micro changes.
The other thing I was going to throw out there too, by the way, this is while you guys think about what you want to talk about next, but did you hear, so there's the team, most of the team, I think I've heard you say this before, but there's an interesting study they did on gratitude. And it was by a neuroscientist, and Andrew Huberman is his name, Stanford University. And what they found was gratitude does not actually help the individual that does it. It helps everyone else around them. So what they found was, yes, there's some benefit in being like having gratitude for yourself, but the main dopamine hits and the main benefits of gratitude came from when I witnessed someone else having gratitude. Fascinating. And then also, like, giving gratitude to somebody else gives you more of a hit in dopamine in terms of neuroscience than me having gratitude for myself. Fascinating, right? So if I see you, Michelle, take a minute and go, I just want to say, like, I'm super grateful for even having the opportunity to meet you all. If I witness that, I'll get a dopamine hit. But if I say it, I don't get the same hit. Isn't that weird? Anyway, fun fact.
Yeah, but I would argue that you would still benefit because you're starting to acknowledge more of the good going on around you.
No. Yeah. So it's to say, I think it's like 2 points that like the study was kind of making, was that one, there's still a benefit. So it'd be like me saying it, here's my benefit today. And then here's the immediate benefit if I see you do it. Long term, though, gratitude changes your attitude or changes your perspective of reality. And so by doing that long term is fucking awesome.
Yes.
But anyway, I just thought it was fascinating. If I watch someone be grateful, I feel better. Weird. Anyway, Adrian, what were some of the things that you noticed?
Well, firstly, I wanted to ask, are you gonna put these slides anywhere for us to access? I love some of the points that you had within the slide.
I have a handout of some of the content that I can share with you guys. So yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, just offhand, I realized that one, I don't meditate, and two, I sometimes work so much to the point where I forget to eat. Like, I forget to actually take care of myself because I am just so focused on everything else that's going on. Yesterday, I realized that me, you, really, we had our conversation, and then I went out for a little bit, and then all of a sudden I like had one drink, and I'm like feeling like shit. I'm like, why the heck? I just had one drink. And then I sit back, I was like, what did I eat today? And I realized I didn't eat a single thing, and I completely forgot. And so I need to like take some time to actually do this self-reflection. So I really appreciate you just coming on here and sharing this, because it's something that I like really need to start doing and focusing on more and more frequently. So I'm going to. I'm excited.
Awesome.
Kyle?
And I'm also a really big advocate for the work-life flow. I've been saying that for a long time. It's like to a point where everyone's just like so looking forward to the weekend or their time off or whatever else. But I think it should be a flow. I think you should just go to work because it's something that is just part of your routine. You get off and then you have another routine and you just go into the things that you want to do. And life is so much more enjoyable once you do that.
Love it.
Kyle, what insights did you get from this outside of
Yeah,
like,
this is highly impactful. I actually did something like this, I'd say probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. I started shifting the time I start waking up in the morning. I have a toddler who, no matter what time you put him to bed, is up at 5:30 to 5:45. So a lot of my day was happening to me. Right now, I was in a very reactive state getting out of bed. So I started, working to get myself up at least 30 to 60 minutes before he got himself up. So my mornings and my workout routine and getting going has been a lot better. The thing that's eye-opening is, you have those starts and stops. So I'm glad you put in there the nighttime routine. My nighttime routine is still shit, right? So it automatically transpires of how many days I can actually wake up at that certain level or that certain time I want to. Too much electronics, TV, all that stuff before bed. And I don't do really any meditation whatsoever. My meditation has always been what kind of Raylan was talking about, was like being in my flow state of hobbies or extra, curriculars and stuff like that. So I think I need to do a better job of, and Raylan, you always talk about this too, journaling. I need to do more journaling in the morning and actually just getting my thoughts, feelings, ideas out there. And I think that's something I'm going to implement, right away is, that 5 minutes of just like, hey, here's where my mind's at right now. Get it on paper, right? And, think about those things that you actually, really want to knock down and accomplish. But I know my well-being is a lot better when I start earlier. I'm awake before everybody else. I get to dictate those feelings and thoughts. But the bedtime routine is something I absolutely need to tackle.
Same. Isn't it funny how you could know? We are the worst at like self-sabotage. You'll know that a routine's good for you, and you're like, nah, fuck it. Like, perfect example is this. Like, I'll be honest, man. We go back and forth. We still wake up early, 6 o'clock, whatever. But the best time of our lives, we did like a few months of waking up at 4, like strict. And then we took a weekend off, and we're like, I was sleeping during the weekend. And we stopped doing it. That was the most productive I've ever been in my life, because between the hours of 4 and around 10, I did all my shit. I was done. Like, I was done basically with my day by 10 o'clock. And then I just got to have fun the rest of the day. Whereas now I'm up 6, 5:30-ish, whatever. But to your point, Kyle, I'm reacting, especially when we have Ronan. It's like, if he wakes me up, I'm already in a bad mood, because now I'm like, I'm fighting. I'm like, the world is telling me how to live my life, which is very not good. So
yeah, I'm glad you brought that up too, because right when Michelle started giving her talk, I automatically started thinking, not necessarily for myself, but for my relationship with my wife. It's like, I'm excited to talk to her about a few of these things, because if we wake up together, just like you said, you and Kayla waking up together, right, it's already putting our household into a better, what would you say, a better like energy flow state. Because I know she deals with a lot more like stress and anxiety than I do. And that's a better way that she can probably like take that 30 or 60 minutes, get her head in the space together with us together. So that way, if I'm in a really good mood that day, she's not in a bad mood. I'm in a bad mood, she's in a good mood. And that way we're, more on, actual flow together. I'm actually glad you brought that up, because I think that's a huge winning piece there.
Well, the other thing too, like in terms of like relationships, right, that we found that works for us is actually the opposite of that. When we wake up, get the fuck away from each other. And because like when during that time, what would happen is we wouldn't actually spend that time reading or anything like that together. It would be, I would go in my office here, and that's what I do my journaling, and I would read and then write. And then we would still wake up, kiss each other, good morning, and then we'd go do our thing separately. But then after that, you're like, I don't know. It's like, I think partly especially for, you have to remember too, guys, and maybe this is for me, but it's funny. I'm naturally an introvert. I actually hate people. I really do. Like, I get really drained. Like, I ask Kayla, after every single workshop, I literally take a nap every single time. I'm drained by people. And so the thing that actually gives me fulfillment and gets me energy is being alone. And so, but nobody knows that. Obviously, hopefully everyone saw Connor's face. He's like, "What the fuck?" Like,
you're like the definition of an extrovert to me.
No, literally, you can ask Kayla. Like, I am the way that Tim and I describe it is that I am what was it? No, basically no, basically the point is that I'm just really good at pretending. Like I'm good at that. However, my point is this though, is that our entire business, especially if we do things online, is around people. It's giving energy, right? So I'm an introvert, but I think more than anything, I'm really good at giving people my energy, essentially is what I'm doing, right? Like, I mean, you guys have been to enough workshops now to know that like, I'm never sitting during a workshop going, okay, guys, what's next? Like, I'm yelling at you guys. Watch my content. I'm screaming. Poor Connor has to probably turn down the volume on all of my reels as he's making them, right? So I'm giving energy. You guys
Literally.
do the same thing. Yes. So you guys are doing literally the same exact thing. So we cannot undervalue the time alone. And time alone does not mean, by the way, being online. Like if we go to TikTok or whatever, you're actually not alone. Like you're with other people. It's just different, right? So that's why I said, like, another point that I noticed here is I don't get out enough, especially in nature. One of the things that I did that actually made a difference was now I go outside in the morning, and every single morning, I don't know why, I've been doing this for a while, and Kayla every morning is like, what are you doing? But I go outside and I literally just stare out into the clouds, like in my backyard, because we could see in the mornings, I could see the horizon in my backyard. And so, but I look as far as I can look and just look at clouds for the first like 5 minutes of the morning. Because I realized I wake up and I would go into my office and then I wouldn't go outside. And in my head, I was like, yeah, but I'm still seeing outside. No, get the fuck outside and then go and look, right? But that's also why, not this weekend, the next weekend, I think it is, Kayla and I are going to Sedona. Is so that way we cannot have cell phone service.
Nice.
Like, I don't want none of y'all. I love you, but I don't want to be able to talk to any of you.
Nice.
Just so again, you can get back and to go, because again, think of it this way, and I'll stop with this and I'll let Michelle finish or have some closing thoughts, and we'll get out of here. But is most of what you think in a day is probably someone else's thoughts. How often during the day are you actually alone with your thoughts? And we do this thing because we have online, the moment, think about it. And this is the sad shit that we don't ever talk about, but like, how often do you actually get to be alone with your thoughts? Every time you get to be alone a little bit, you get that little moment of, oh shit, I'm alone. And then what do? You pull out your phone. Did anybody text me? Nobody fucking texted you. Did somebody give me, do I have any emails I missed? No, you don't. Okay. You don't need to check it. You haven't checked in 5 hours. Like, who do you care right now? Right. Or you go to your TikTok or go to your Instagram, be alone for a minute. Yeah. There's some dark shit in there you haven't addressed yet. You need to go to it. Right.
True. So true.
We all do it.
Not only the dark stuff though, there are some pearls waiting to come to the surface, and you've got to get quiet with yourself in order to get present to them. That's so important. And there's what I do, right? You just inspired me to share this, is like once a week I go to the beach and I watch the sunrise. It's ridiculous to get up at 4:30 in the morning, but you know what? I do it and I meditate and it shifts my day. And then the other thing I have for myself that I do to completely disconnect, especially from this, is I have this little like addiction to Korean spas, where like you lock your stuff in a locker and you just go into these different saunas and into these different pools, and you spend like 3 or 4 hours there and you just completely decompress and disconnect. So that's like my thing that I do, because I know it's healthy to disconnect from people, I'm an introvert, and from your phone and from information, and just be alone.